Hello, everyone. My name's Cliff Freilich. I'm the Executive Director of Cinema St. Louis, and we are the presenters of the 29th Annual Whitaker St. Louis International Film Festival. This event is our annual closing night awards party. It's not a party this year, it's a presentation. We wish we could be hosting everyone in person and tipping a few beers or drinks back. And you can still do that at home, certainly. But obviously, this is a very unusual festival that we're now experiencing, or that we're just concluding. But I think overall, we've been very happy with the way things have unfolded. We've had a few little bumps along the way. But for our first time out of the box for a major festival being presented virtually, I think that we've managed to get through just fine. And I hope those of you who have watched films with us during these last 18 days are satisfied with your experience. We don't want you to get used to it. I suspect we will be incorporating some aspects of a virtual festival as we move forward in the future. But we very much want to be back in person in 2021. And if things go along as they seem to be, and the efficacy of the vaccines proves to be true, I think that we will be back in person. So let's all cross our fingers for many more reasons than just obviously being able to hold a festival. All right, so let's get the party started. We want to first welcome the chair of Cinema St. Louis's board, Jill-Ann Barnes, who is going to say a few words of welcome to everybody and talk a little bit about the organization. Jill-Ann.
Welcome, everybody. I just wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone for helping to make this 39th annual SLIFF a great success. Cinema St. Louis works very hard to bring programming in different film festivals throughout the year. Those of you who are members, we thank you, and we are very grateful to you as well, all the sponsors, the filmmakers who make our festivals wonderful, and our audience, and especially people who were able to participate in the Pay It Forward campaign this year. We were able to give money back to some of our filmmakers, their entry fees. I don't know what our final numbers were on that, but we were glad to be able to give back, and we are very thankful to everyone who participated in that to give back. If you didn't get a chance to, there is still our annual Giving Day on December 1st. So on December 1st, if you feel like contributing, we definitely still need more help throughout the year. This festival is our biggest fundraiser, and as you know, it went virtual. So it wasn't quite what it usually is as far as funding is concerned. However, the programming was amazing. Our staff did a great job. Thanks, guys. And we were just very grateful that it turned out to be such a success. I did miss everybody at the parties. The parties are some of my favorite parts of the fest, being able to meet everybody. I kind of felt like I had front row seats for the master classes though, because you could see everybody up close and personal. So that was kind of neat. I like the virtual aspect of that, but we'd love your feedback, and we'd love to see you again in the theaters, hopefully next year.
All right, thank you so much, Jill-Ann. We want to give a big shout out, not just to Jill-Ann as our board chair, but also to everybody who serves on the Cinema St. Louis board. We're going to be enabling, I hope, our sharing screen here in a minute, and you're going to be able to see all of the people who serve on our board. Well, we skipped all the way to the end. We have to correct that and go back to the very beginning. Well, at least we haven't revealed anything. But at any rate, we're going to have some thank yous up here before we get to the meat of the matter and start talking about the actual award winners. So once that screen share comes back up, we'll start running through our thank yous. But while I'm waiting for that, why don't I first acknowledge my fellow staff members. The person who you're not going to see tonight unfortunately, is the person who's working behind the scenes, helping run the tech and control the live stream. And she's the one who's putting things up right now. And that's Bree Maniscalco. She is our development director, and she does an extraordinary job as our development director, but she also does many, many, many other things. We all wear lots of hats here at the festival and at Cinema St. Louis. And she is currently, as I say, running the show for us. So we want to thank her. I also want to acknowledge our artistic director, Chris Clark, who also does an extraordinary number of tasks. You will be seeing Chris several times through the course of this awards presentation. So he'll give the conclusion of the awards presentation as well, as he traditionally does. And then last but absolutely not least, we want to acknowledge our incredible operations supervisor, the person that most of you probably who are viewing this, if you're members, deal most with. And that is Brian Spaff, our operations supervisor. He is also the shorts person who wrangles all of our narrative shorts, and he'll be helping present those awards. Okay, so that's the staff members. You are now seeing the Cinema St. Louis Board of Directors. We want to thank all of them for their extraordinary work on our behalf. Without their help, we couldn't do our jobs. We also want to acknowledge a few other folks before we get to things. Our documentary features co-programmer, who you're going to be meeting toward the end of the show, Brian B.J. Woodman. Brian's worked with me for many, many years. He does a lot of the heavy lifting on the docs feature programming. I help him as much as he helps me. And then unfortunately, Orlando Thompson, who is our documentary shorts programmer, is unable to join us. He lost his voice recently, so he would have been visible but not audible if he had been here on the session. So we have excused him. So I'll be subbing on some levels for him. We also want to thank, if you haven't yet checked us out as far as The Lens, which is our film blog, I strongly encourage you to do that. That exists on our website, cinemastlouis.org. You all should be very familiar with that at the conclusion of the festival, obviously. But you may not have checked our film blog, and we have some extraordinary writers, including our editor, Andrew Wyatt, and then our various contributors, Kate Lohr, Kayla McCulloch, and Josh Ray. And many of those folks also ended up being jury members this year. We also want to thank, and he did some extreme heavy lifting, our web designer, Brett Smith. He did a gut rehab of this year's festival website, and I think it looks quite extraordinary. We also want to thank our Salesforce consultant, Casey Tushner. Casey also was our tech supervisor many years ago now. It's been several years. Time flies. But they continue to serve as a freelancer by doing our Salesforce consulting. And I won't bore you with the details on that, but that's a very, very important role. We also want to thank, and this is a big shout out, our Cinema for Students outreach coordinator. You may not be aware of the fact that during the course of every festival, we have another stream of programming that is only visible to teachers and students. This year, we actually, and I'm especially pleased by this, we had more than 10,000 students who ended up participating in our Cinema for Students programming. We offer free programs. Sometimes with filmmakers actually still, normally they're in attendance, so they can actually pop into classrooms or at our events. This year we couldn't do that, but some of them I think actually did participate in classroom and or virtual Zoom presentations. Mallory Duncan is the person who does all of the outreach to the schools. That's a huge, huge endeavor, and we cannot thank her enough for her extraordinary work. We also want to thank our PR and social media supervisor, who's been with us for, more than a decade, Marla Stoker of Marquee Media. If you have PR needs, particularly if you're in the world of film, you need to become familiar with Marla. She does a terrific job. We also have another marketing consultant who does outreach to the African-American community on our behalf. And that's a very important part of our programming. So we also want to give real acknowledgement to Kevin Bryant at Conversions Global Marketing for all the great work he's done to spread word about race in America, the Black experience, a stream of programming that we remain very, very proud of. Next up, we want to thank the people who helped put together our program. Normally, we, of course, have a program that we hand out to you. That didn't happen this year, but we still produced one, and it's available as a PDF download. So I hope you go ahead and still access that, and it will be part of our permanent archive. The person who, well, the people who did the cover and did our poster this year, and you're seeing that as part of our frame, riffing on the city flag, are the good folks over at STL Style, and they're producing our t-shirts. I hope you got your order in today. I want to thank the program designer, Tom Carlson. Tom has worked with us for many years. He is an old colleague of mine from when I was at the Riverfront Times, and he has done a terrific job for us. And this year, because we didn't have to worry about page count, I think the program looks especially great. We also work with Grizel and Company. John Grizel is the head of that. And Claire Reitersky is the person who did a lot of the real grunt work with regard to producing ads for our various sponsors. So we thank her and John for his work. He's been with us for many, many, many years. And then last, but absolutely not least, our proofreader, and there's a lot to proofread, believe me, Janet Levy, who did a terrific job catching all the errors that I made throughout the course of the program. All right, next up, we want to thank our interns. So I'm going to bring in Brian Spaff. Brian is the person who works with the interns, and I think he should say a few words about the important work that they do on our behalf.
Thanks, Cliff, and hello and welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us for this closing night presentation. As Cliff noted, I would like to say thanks to our interning group this year, especially Dan Papaspanos, who bridged the gap from office work to remote work admirably, and then to the rest of our crew who has waited patiently for us to supply a variety of different jobs and projects as we adapted to the confines of the virtual and remote workspace. But they do so much thankless work for us throughout the course of the year that we can't thank them enough, really. So to our interns, we appreciate you greatly, and we suspect and cannot wait to see the great things that you accomplish going forward.
And we've had some pretty incredible interns over the years who have gone on to various important jobs in the world of film. So they have a lot to look forward to, I hope, in their futures. We also want to thank the people who have helped us present this festival by helping choose films. We receive a pretty serious number of submissions every year. The staff has the primary job of sorting through that and making the choices, but we are helped in that endeavor by many other people. So Brian Woodman and I do the programming on documentary features, but the people that you're seeing here, we won't name them because there's a lot of them, particularly when we get into the other categories. So we want to thank our documentary feature reviewing committee. Next up, the narrative features reviewing committee, and again, it grows larger. Chris Clark, I want to have Chris say a few words about the people that helped him. Chris is the person who does our narrative features programming. So Chris, could you join us and say a few words about your committee?
Hi, sorry, I was playing with the dog. Yeah, so the narrative features, we had nearly 150 or so between submissions and things from distributors I threw at them, and many of them watched many dozen over the course of the year, and that helps me sift through the things that seem the most appealing. And there's lots of discovery in this part of the process of selecting films from the festival. So the people that helped me this year were Bob Littell, John Donegan, Becky Donovan, Melissa Engelson, Katie Hacker, Patricia Jackson, Brent James, who was sort of the leader of the pack and did a lot of great thoughtful sifting features that I threw at him especially. Janet and Rob Levy, longtime SLIFF supporters. John Newsham, mega volunteer Pam Pay, who's helped us do so many things. Chris Schuster, the Brainiac twins, Joseph and Stephen Tronacek, and a couple who are also longtime volunteers, Cindy and John Winter. So they watch these films for me and give their opinions, and I have several people watch every single film, and we sort of the cream rises to the top, and it helps sift down to the 20 or so submissions that wound up into the film festival, and also the narrative features from distributors.
All right, thank you, Chris. Chris will be returning. Don't worry, you'll be seeing more of him. Brian, I'd like you now to join us to talk a little bit about your narrative shorts reviewing committee. Brian has the hardest job with regard to the extraordinary number of submissions that he receives. So I'll let him talk a little bit about that process. Brian, welcome back.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Cliff. Typically, in a good year, we receive upwards of nearly 2,000 submissions for the narrative shorts category. And this year we were a little softer on that, but still far more than I anticipated given the circumstances. So I'm very appreciative of the work that my crew put in. And this slide doesn't feature everybody. I put interns to work on this too, giving them a taste of what the festival experience is really all about. But I want to give special shout outs to Amy Debrecht, Jeff Heinley, Janet Herman, Mel Lambert, Josh Ray, Sylvan Schultz, and Abby Taylor for the work that they do for several years now, each watching upwards of 100 shorts or more, particularly to Janet Herman, who has been helping me watch shorts since I took it over in 2008. Janet originated the short film programming for the festival way back when, and she's continued to give me great support and guidance ever since I took it over. And felt it was appropriate to honor her this year with a very special program dedicated to some of her favorites from the submissions pool, which we called Lovey's Lovelies, which was a really fun program, and she was very touched, and it was great. It was a very nice moment.
All right, thank you, Brian. And then last, we're almost to the awards, I promise. We had a unique challenge this year because we were a virtual festival. We had to take a look at every single film after the file was delivered to us to ensure that there were no glitches, that subtitles were there if there were supposed to be subtitles, that there were no issues related to the film. And trust me, we did discover some. These fine people, many of whom, of course, you've already seen their names, they also participated in other ways, did the quality control for us. We did, the staff members did a little bit, but quite honestly, the true work was done by all the people who you see here. They got a chance to watch those movies a little bit in advance of you, so they got some pleasure out of it too, I hope. But by the same token, it was a lot of work because we featured more than, even though we were slimmed down a little bit this year, we still had more than 400 films that ended up being a part of this year's festival. So it was a lot, and it's because of them that we ended up being able to have, I think, the quality of presentation that we ended up giving you. All right, so now on to the awards. We start with our juried competition awards. We'll be ending with our audience choice awards, the ones that you, I hope, participated in. So we start always with the shorts awards. So we're going to be bringing back Mr. Brian Spaff to talk a little bit about our Academy sanctioning.
Thanks, Cliff. Before I get to that, I do want to say, as an addendum to our quality control group, a lot of that group was made up of volunteers, longtime volunteers, who have helped make the festival possible. So I want to give special thanks to them, and really special thanks to all of our volunteers. This is a very strange year, obviously, so we couldn't rely on them as heavily as we have in the past, but we appreciate their support in other ways. And we do very much look forward to seeing you again live and in person at our next event, whatever that may be. As Kloof had alluded to, we are an Academy sanctioned festival, which means that our top awards are all eligible to submit for consideration from the Academy. This year might be a bit of a strange year. I think the window is a little bit different in terms of their ability to submit. So they might actually be able to make it in this year, but generally there's a whole year cycle in between the opportunity from winning at our festival or similar festivals and then being able to actually submit for consideration from the Academy. But we're very proud of the fact that our top 4 award-winning shorts will be able to submit for such consideration. And those include our best documentary short, best live action, best animated, and best of fest. Let's see. So Cliff, I guess at this point, if you want to go ahead and.
Yes, I'll take over briefly and then I'll turn it back over to Brian. We want to start with our Best Documentary Short Award. Here are our jury members. So we have 2 separate juries because you could not possibly have one jury do all the work involved in the shorts judging. So Allison Carrick, Frank Popper, and Renelle Schubert were our wonderful jurors for the Doc Shorts program, and you'll see their sterling credits. I'm very happy that we're going to have Renelle Schubert, who is with the International Documentary Association and is very appropriately the awards competition manager, who's going to be making the presentation of the best documentary short. I should also quickly note that we've notified many of the winners in advance and they've recorded some videos. So throughout the evening here, you're going to be hearing from many of our winners. Renelle.
Thank you, Cliff. Hello, I speak to you all from Los Angeles, California, which is the ancestral lands and of the rightful owners, the Tongva and the Chumash people. As Cliff mentioned, my name is Renelle Schubert. I am the awards competition manager at the International Documentary Association, which we celebrate the best of nonfiction filmmaking of the year from projects from all over the world. In fact, this Tuesday, I'll be announcing this year's nominees for all our 16 categories for that competition. For more information about IDA, you can visit us at documentary.org. As a member of the jury for Best Documentary Short in this competition, I've been given the honor of announcing our jury's winner. But before I get to that task at hand, I want to acknowledge and recognize the films and the stories from this region that were a part of this competition. As someone who grew up in the Metro East, it makes me proud to see such talented filmmakers and stories from this region being exhibited and being in competition with other stories from around the world. There's just so much talent in this region. And I commend SLIFF for adapting in these challenging times and bringing all these stories to the jury and to audiences. But now for the business at hand. As a representative of the jury, I'm happy to congratulate Colette on being the winner of the Best Documentary Short Award. Colette is a heartbreaking and honest film that follows Colette Marin Catherine confronting her past with the support of a young female historian by together visiting the German Nazi concentration camp where her brother was killed. In these difficult times, we can certainly take lessons from Colette's resistance against tyranny. Congratulations to the filmmakers. And now let's hear from the winning film's director, Anthony Giacconi, and producer Elise Duyard.
We apologize. There's apparently a problem with the sound here, so we'll try and get this resolved in a second. I think Bree is going to make an attempt to resolve whatever that issue was with regard to the sound disappearing on us. I hope she'll be back momentarily with the words from Anthony and also Elise. We want to make certain that we have an opportunity to acknowledge them. So we'll give a few moments to see whether or not we have that back. If it seems like we're having issues, we may need to move forward, but let's give it one more shot before we abandon ship. Okay, Bree, I don't know that we're gonna, we may want to just move on and let Brian try and deal with the narrative shorts awards, and then maybe we can loop back and maybe we can resolve the issue. So if you want to put the show back up, and we'll turn to Brian and maybe he can present the narrative shorts awards along with the various jury members. And then maybe at the end we can try and give the opportunity for Anthony and Elise to say a few words about the great film Colette. Brian, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, Cliff, I can hear you.
Okay. So at any rate, we seem to have lost Bree momentarily. So let's hope that she pops back up.
Some technical difficulties. We'll get it figured out.
Okay. So in the meantime, let's try and plunge ahead rather than delay too long, and let the narrative shorts jury members present those awards.
Sure. All right. First off, I'll name check our jury since we won't have the visual aid here. Special thanks to Chris Aaron, filmmaker and assistant professor of film at Webster University. To Lindsay Berkebile, a stop motion animator and director for Adult Swim and projects such as Robot Chicken, Super Mansion, Crossing Swords, and Psycho Psalms. Britta Buchler, a member of Women in Animation and a creative director specializing in the development of original animated content. Alexandra Alex Mitchell, shorts programmer and interim film competition director at the Austin Film Festival and a former Cinema St. Louis intern. To Colin O'Brien, theater, festival, and concert producer. Brad Schiff, head of animation at Leica on such films such as Coraline, Paranorman, The Missing Link, and Oscar nominee for Kubo and the Two Strings. Kenya Vaughn, journalist, film critic, and the St. Louis American contributing editor. And Keith Watson, attorney, film critic, and the co-owner of the Arcadin Cinema and Bar. Thank you to my jury. First up, we're going to have 2 awards announced by Colin O'Brien. We will announce our best local shorts later on during the Essie Awards. So stay tuned for that if you are interested in our local shorts competition. But first up, Colin. Colin has been a longtime volunteer with the film festival, really more than a volunteer. He's been in paid positions several times.
Yeah, get it right, Brian.
I'm trying. Various capacities with the festival and the organization overall. It's always great to have Colin involved. Whatever he's doing, he always makes it fun. The highlights for me during the fest are always seeing Colin on site somewhere, typically at Plaza Frontenac. Really kind of cuts through the dreary, sort of heavy, mundane
drudge of the St. Louis
drudge of SLIFF. It's late on a Wednesday night, and I'm walking into Frontenac just to make sure that there aren't any fires that need to be put out. But Colin's, the one starting the fires and doing elaborate interpretive dances with pyrotechnics. So, Colin, pleased to have you here. Please take it away.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very excited to be here. It was sad not to be able to be at Plaza Frontenac at all this year and see the volunteers or do any film introductions. It's really a high point in my year every year. So I'm very glad to have this opportunity. The best short award is going to the film RAS directed by Lucas Durkheim. Very exciting. Very good film. I just keep and this one, the best international short film. This one is going to The Cut, which was directed by Chloe Sinkmars.
Fantastic. Thank you, Colin. Greatly appreciated. Now we'll bring on Lindsay. Lindsay, as I mentioned, is an animator, is a fantastic follow on Instagram if you don't already follow them there. A really incredible animator and an extensive list of credits that finally merited praise from Cliff when he looked at my narrative shorts jury for this year. I think the first time in the history of my programming and compiling jurors for this.
You finally got it right, Brian. So yeah.
So thank you, Lindsay. Fantastic. It was, I took the chance on reaching out to you, and you responded, and I was thrilled, very excited to have you as part of the group this year. So thanks again for participating, and I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, this is my first experience with your film festival, St. Louis International Film Festival, and I was really intrigued when I was asked. And then it was actually one of the highlights of my month, coming home from work every day and going through these shorts. And I was insanely inspired. It caused me so much anxiety because so many of them are so good for different reasons that comparing them is like trying to choose your favorite child. Or, the old saying, comparing apples to oranges. And I actually had to make like a pros and cons chart, with the red string between all of them. And I was like, maybe this one. So it was such a great group of applicants. For my own work, I actually was extremely inspired and made me want to go out and start doing some experimental personal projects myself. But yeah, I'll get into it. The winner for the best animated short, I'm super honored to present. It's The Dusty Sea by Eloise Ferlet. And I'm super stoked just for my own personal happiness that it's a stop motion short, which is super cool to see stop motion artists really getting out there and telling very complex, beautiful stories like this one. From the moment it came on, I was enwrapped in the story and the visuals and the audio and everything. I just cannot say enough amazing things about this short. So now we'll have a few words from the filmmaker.
Oh no. Since we wrapped so late, I didn't have time to reach out to the filmmakers, so we're just doing kudos on their behalf. Thank you, Lindsay.
Yeah.
All right, now we're gonna have
Yes,
Alex
thank you.
Mitchell come on. Oops, sorry. I'll welcome Alex Mitchell. Alex, hello, great to see you.
Hello, nice to see you as well.
As I noted, Alex is a former Cinema St. Louis intern. At this point, I don't even remember how long ago it was, but as you can see, a very cheerful disposition. It was fantastic having you in the office. Was not surprised at all when you made the move to Austin and became a part of that, the festival scene there, and expecting still even bigger and better things that I know you're fully capable of. But thank you for agreeing to be a part of our competition, especially knowing like when the Austin Film Festival runs, and when you are wrapping up, and then asking you to take on the burden of watching all of these short films, and deliberate and evaluate and rank. It's a major task, all things considered, with your context, but I greatly appreciate it. So thank you. And I will let you have the stage.
Thank you so much, Brian. As I mentioned, I'm really honored to be here. I started volunteering at Cinema St. Louis, I think when I was in high school, to see films for free. And then I decided in college that I wanted to intern, and I decided to keep doing things with film festivals, which is why I work at one now. And I love telling people that that's how my journey started. It started with my hometown film festival. So I'm a really big proponent of Cinema St. Louis and the St. Louis International Film Festival. As Brian mentioned, Austin Film Festival wraps about a week or two before the St. Louis International Film Festival starts. Usually every year I take a day off from my job and I fly to St. Louis and I see more films. This year I got to stay in my apartment and watch more films. And after a year of watching films, what's another 100? So I'm really excited to present the Best Live Action Short Film Award. The award is going to Black Goat, directed by Guy Tang. Something that I love about this film, there are so many great films submitted. I think especially during the pandemic, we're all trapped inside, but films can really take you to so many different places. And we loved going to Nepal for Black Goat. So congrats.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. Great to see you again. Greatly appreciate it. Now we'll welcome on Brad Schiff. Brad has, graciously given his time to SLIFF, to Cinema St. Louis, over the course of many years. We had him featured as part of our now defunct St. Louis International Children's Film Festival many years ago. He was just recently, here for the festival last year, where we did a presentation of The Missing Link at the Missouri History Museum, and presented him with our Cinema St. Louis Award. Brad, greatly appreciate your willingness to participate, and also staying connected to St. Louis in some fashion. Cliff will always be ready to exploit that connection as much as we can, and we certainly greatly benefit from it. So thank you.
Absolutely. Well, it's always a pleasure to be back in St. Louis, even if it's virtually, which it is. I have a soft spot for SLIFF. It's my favorite festival. Even it has nothing to do with the fact that it rhymes with my last name, but that doesn't hurt. I'm just going to cut to the chase. And the winner for best short subject best of fest is, excuse me a second, grab the envelope here. Josiah by Kyle Larson. Congratulations, Kyle.
Fantastic. Thank you, Brad. Congratulations to all of our winners and to really all of the films that were selected to screen as part of the St. Louis International Film Festival this year. Very excited for the programming and for their participation. Thanks again to the narrative short film jury. I hound them a lot just to make sure that they're staying on task, but they do fabulous work, and I greatly appreciate it. Thanks, Cliff. All yours.
Thank you, Brian. Bree, if you wouldn't mind enabling your audio and telling me whether or not you think you can get the sound to work on the doc short winner acceptance speech.
It all just depends. On my side, I saw or heard the video and then it just crashed. So we'll give it a whirl, and if someone can just text me and let me know if there's no sound on your end, then we'll have to work through it.
Okay, give it a shot, and if not, we'll move forward and hope that the other ones work out better. If nothing else, we will make those available, all of our thank you videos available on our YouTube channel if for whatever reason our tech fails us here. So give it a shot, Bree, and we'll see what happens. It's very dramatic seeing us move backward in time now. So again, This is our Doc Short winner, Colette.
Okay, thank you, Cliff and Renell. My name's Anthony Giacchino, and I'm the director of Colette. And first of all, I just want to say how thrilled we are to have been at the St. Louis International Film Festival, virtually, of course. But so thank you to the festival and for having us, and then for the jurors for selecting us. It's quite an honor. And I would say also that it's an honor that we were playing alongside so many amazing and important films. You know, we made Colette because we believe that the present should always be in dialogue with the past, especially if it's a dark and uncomfortable past. And that's certainly something that Colette taught me, and I hope that we've been successful in transmitting that idea to you. So I just wanted to say that. I also would like to say thank you to, of course, EA, Respawn, and Oculus, especially Peter Hirschman and Charlie Hauser, to our amazing co-producers, Annie Small and Aaron Matthews, Aaron, who also edited the film, and to our whole crew, which was international, really from all over Europe and the United States. And finally to The Guardian, who is now hosting the film online, and you can see it there for free, so I encourage everybody. But thank you so much. It's an amazing honor.
Dear people of St. Louis, thank you for this amazing honor that I will share with Colette and Lucy. And when I know that Colette will be very moved and probably say something like "Mes enfants," because she used to call us like that. Your project is a marvelous project that keeps giving. It took courage for Colette to embark on this journey. She did it because, like us, Anthony and I, and the team of the film, she believes in interacting for a better world, interacting through generation and through different countries. I'm tuning from London and Paris, where I live. This is the magic of technology. And Colette shared her experience with us and with you. And like tonight, she receives a very strong message of support and of friendship. And I know that this is extremely important for her. So thank you, and have a nice evening.
All right. Thank you to Anthony and Elise, the charming Elise. Let's now move on to our Interfaith Competition Awards. And Chris Clark is going to be rejoining us. Chris, if you can pop back in. And he's been the person who has wrangled the Interfaith Awards on Cinema St. Louis's behalf with the various jurors and selection committees that have existed over the years. So, Chris, say a few words about the interfaith competition before you introduce our presenter.
Of the many parts of the soul to this festival is this competition, along with the New Filmmakers Forum, two of the longest running competitions in the festival. A number of films. This year there were 8 documentaries and narrative features selected by Cliff and myself that were presented to the jury. And we look for films that, in our humble estimation, speak to big life topics such as the human condition and recognition of ethical, social, and spiritual values. We present these to a jury of people from many faiths and many walks of life, and we have them sift down to what they think most represents these values in a cinematic format. We've done this part of the competition of the festival for over 20 years, and it's an important part of who we are. So I'm proud to help wrangle the decision-making process. I'm not a juror myself, but I give them factoids and help them get to a decision in the end. And it's always a challenge. It's always great conversation, and we all learn things about cultures and different people and different perspectives on life. Many of the jury members have done this for many years in a row, and some are relatively new to the process, but I'd like to acknowledge them first before we announce our awards. This year, the Interfaith Documentary Jury included Delcia Corlew, who will be our presenter this evening of both awards, and she has been a longtime board member as well and former director of the organization, along with Janet Herman, Bruce McKenzie, Pierre Martin, Dr. Phil Moy, and former board member Patricia Scallett. The narrative jury members included Greg and Jane Holtzel, Paul Marsh, Pierre Martin also served on this jury, Alma Marabet, Sandra Olmsted, and Sagi Purev. I'd like to introduce our presenter for the 2 awards. Hello, Delcia. How are you?
Hello, Chris. I'm good. How are you?
Yes, we've known each other for so long. We've done this very dance so many times together, all 3 of us together, and it's so good to share this with you. And you were one of the main people when you were a managing director. You helped bring this competition to the festival, and I know it's very important to you. You've been on the committees and watched many, many films and had many conversations helping to make these decisions. So thank you for sharing your time with us tonight and getting us to the decisions. So the documentaries in the competition this year, there were 8 that your group watched, and they included Ask No Questions, Hamtramck USA, Opeka, The Oratorio, A Place to Breathe, The Rabbi Goes West, The Reunited States, and the locally produced documentary Wake Up.
And the winner of the Best Interfaith Documentary is A Place to Breathe, directed by Michelle Grace Steinberg. And let's just get a little message of thanks from Michelle.
Hi, I'm Michelle Grace Steinberg, director and producer of A Place to Breathe, and myself, along with our other producer, Robin Bykowski, are both very grateful to be receiving this award. Many thanks to the St. Louis International Film Festival and Cinema St. Louis for including us in their incredible event, and to the panel of jurors for conferring the award upon us. We want to give a huge thanks to both of the health centers, Street Level Health Project and Mena Health Center, who collaborated in allowing us to film with them, and most importantly, to the amazing people who shared their stories and the power of their resilience with ourselves and the world. We also want to thank all of the folks who worked with us in the film and contributed financially to help make the film possible. You know, in this moment when everything feels unexpected, we're in the midst of a healthcare crisis, the degree to which this country is experiencing inequities in healthcare are just so profound, as is the incredible draconian way that immigration structure is set up here. All of these things are being laid bare in so many ways. And we hope that a project like A Place to Breathe and so many others out there that are doing similar kinds of work around social justice can lend our voices to hopefully increasing empathy and understanding, particularly across cultures, at this moment when it's most needed. So thank you again so much for conferring the award upon us. And again, our heartfelt thanks to all of those who shared their stories in this film and took the time to explain their experiences, because listening is the first step for all of us in making this world a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Michelle.
We appreciate it.
So in any jury context, there can be fiery and passionate discussions, and the interfaith jury has been no exception to that, Delcia. And it's always something I look forward to, is having the discussions with you and the other jury members. Next, the narrative competition are 8 films that I selected for the jury, and they included a mixture of submissions as well as films from distributors. And those films included 975, Here We Are, I Am You, My Name is Sarah, Oligay's Demon of Fear is its full title, Omar and Us, Papi Cha, and There Is No Evil.
You know, I have to say, Chris, that despite the fact that this is virtual this year, the films submitted are, as usual, excellent. And the jury spend a long time deliberating before they can finally come up without too much argument, the winner. The winner of the narratives this year is I Am You, and it's directed by Sonia Deseri Cole. And here is Sonia to say a few words to us.
My name is Sonia Nasri Cole. I'm the director and the producer of the film, I Am You. First of all, I want to thank so much the jury for choosing I Am You as the best picture. I am absolutely honored to be part of St. Louis Film Festival and to get this honor. I Am You is the story of refugees from the point of view of the refugees, which we haven't seen yet. Why somebody leaves their country, why they leave their culture, their people, their country, their families to go to another country. Because 100% they're gonna die, and they take a 5% chance that they may live. The film is about that. And for you to bring the plight of the refugees, which is since World War II, we haven't had this kind of migration in the world, is really important to me. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for choosing my film and for being a part of such a noble cause. God bless the refugees. Thank you so much, St. Louis Film Festival and the jury again. I'm honored.
This is an example where our awards, I think, will make a difference. This Afghani woman living in Los Angeles made this powerful, moving film that ultimately won the jury prize. It's being submitted with some legal controversy as potentially the Afghani Oscar submission for next year. And this humble award will make a difference in her path as a woman filmmaker. And I think that's fantastic. It was a submission that had, I didn't know anything about it until I watched it for the first time. And as did the selection committee, helped lead me to this. So many people liked it in the selection process, and that's how it rose to the top. So thank you again to the jury, and for you, Delcia, for helping make this possible so many years in a row.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Sorry, I was muted, folks. I was just droning on there, so let me start over. Our next awards are the St. Louis Film Critics Joe Pollack and Joe Williams Awards. We've been doing this with the Film Critics Organization for any number of years now. We do juried competitions of both docs and narratives. The awards are named in honor of 2 late St. Louis Post-Dispatch critics, Joe Pollack, who I knew for many, many, many years as a colleague. We were film critics at the same time, he at the Post-Dispatch, me at the Riverfront Times. And then Joe Williams, who I had the privilege of being his editor at the St. Louis Post-Dispatch for 3 years, and we missed them both. both Joes were extraordinary people and great critics. So Chris and I both chose 8 films to compete in each category. So let's see who our jurors were. We had 2 juries. The docs were Lynn Benhouse at Webster Kirkwood Times and KTRS, Robert Hunt of the Riverfront Times, and Carl Middleman of Entercom Radio. And then on the narrative side, Jim Batts of We Are Movie Geeks, Max Foisey of KTRS and Zeke Film, and Kate Markey of We Are Movie Geeks and the St. Louis Jewish Light. We want to now welcome to the stage, so to speak, the virtual stage, for the first award, Jim Batts, who's going to be giving out our narrative award, the Joe Pollock Award for Best Narrative. Jim, can you join us now?
Thank you, Cliff. I'll join you and tell you that we really enjoyed the 8 films we had to choose from. You can see them all on screen there. And Kate, Max, and myself actually narrowed it down to the same 3 films, although the runner-up and third place kind of switch with each of us. But we both had, all of us had great affection for the short and sweet Night of the Beast from Columbia, which is a sort of a coming-of-age film about 2 young men in high school who were united by their love of heavy metal rock, and they're trying to get and hold on to tickets to the big Iron Maiden show down in Bogota. Very entertaining film, as was The Invisible Witness from Italy, which was sort of a modern noir thriller about a person who would be considered a 1%er who thinks that he's sort of above the law, and lies keep piling up on top of lies. And you could say it's kind of a variation of the old the postman always rings twice, although I guess it would be the Amazon delivery person rings twice this time around, I guess. But we were united in our favorite of the 8 films. It's interesting because this film comes from the same country which made such a splash at awards time last year with Parasite. This is from South Korea, and it is from Kim Jong-un, and it is a time-twisting thriller. It's sort of like putting together a puzzle without having the lid and seeing the completed picture, because you don't know how things are going to connect. But it's terrific. It's well worth your time watching. It's beasts clawing at straws. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jim. We do not have a video from Kim Jong-un, but I'm sure he'll be appreciative when he hears of his selection for this award. Next up is Lynn Venhouse. Lynn has worked with Cinema St. Louis for many years. She also has helped us out considerably this year by serving as a host and discussant for a couple of programs. Golden anniversaries. So we thank her for all of the stuff that she does on our behalf. She's going to announce the Joe Williams Award for Best Documentary. Lynn.
Hello. A couple years ago, Joe Pollock died in 2012, and we asked you if we could name these awards because previously we gave them out as under the radar, movies that needed to be on people's radar, but they might miss it. And you were gracious enough to let us do that. And then when Joe Williams died tragically in 2015, we felt that we should honor him in this way. And both of these men were so passionate about the power of cinema and how it could affect social change. So I think the films that you give us every year really serve how Joe and the 2 Joes thought about movies. This year is an exceptional slate of documentaries. Carl Middleman, known as Carl the Intern, and Robert Hunt and I, we had a great debate, but we had the similar top 4 movies. So we would like to note that it was very feminist forward this year, which I think is always good. And we enjoyed Queen of Hearts about the artist Audrey Flack, who is an absurd realist, and she's now 88. And the St. Louis Art Museum used to have one of her paintings there, but you told me it was in a story, so maybe they'll bring it out. And Finding Ying Ying, which is a true crime story. It's a heartbreaking tale of a Chinese student at U of I who was murdered in 2017, and her family's ordeal. And we just thought it was so poignant and so moving. We also really liked Cured, which was the struggle to get the American Psychiatric Association to remove mental illness as the cause for homosexuality. And it took a long time. So those, I would recommend anybody should seek those out because they're exceptional. Our winner is 9 to 5, The Story of a Movement. And in the 70s, office workers took to the streets, females, and they created a force. They wanted better pay, respect, an end to sexual harassment, and chances for advancement. And they fought really hard. I stand on the shoulders of these giants, and these women activists are still active now in causes, which is great. And they inspired the film 9 to 5. And so you will see part of that development, how that happened. But 40 years ago, the film debuted, so it's going to have its anniversary in December. So this is a fitting story about a labor movement that did a lot for women, but we still have ways to go. And it's done by Stephen Wagner and Julia Reichert, who won the Oscar last year for American Factory. We would like to congratulate them for winning our award. And I think we get to hear from the filmmakers.
Bree, sadly, I'm afraid we have audio issues yet again. And maybe we can restart and see whether or not that works. If not, we'll move on and maybe we can loop back later.
Yep. Let me try and cue that back up.
There we are.
Julia. I'm Steve. And just a few days ago, we got a very surprising email from Cliff that said, we have won an award at the St. Louis International Film Festival. This was like so wonderful and so unexpected.
We're very grateful that our film 9 to 5, Story of a Movement, has won the St. Louis Film Critics Joe Williams Award for Best Documentary. That means a lot. It's an award in tribute to the late Joe Williams, film critic for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
Yes.
And we're very grateful for this honor. We're very grateful to you for watching the movie, and we're especially grateful to all the amazing women of the 9 to 5 movement who shared their stories with us for this film.
Yes, and I even put on the t-shirt.
Thank you.
All right, it was great seeing Steve and Julia. I'm sure that they were as thrilled to win this award as their Oscar of last year. We did give them more than the 45 seconds that Oscar allows for their acceptance speech, so we thank them. They also had another great short at this year's festival, and that was 846, a documentary they made in conjunction with Dave Chappelle, who kicked off the festival. All right, next up, we have our Essie Awards. This is we're inaugurating a new award here at the festival. It's for the best St. Louis films. It's sponsored by the Chalapa Vedavali Foundation. We were initially just going to give a single Essie Award and just throw everything into the pot. narrative features, documentary features, doc shorts, narrative shorts, but we had so many films that were either made by St. Louisans who are still working here or by filmmakers with ties to the area that we decided we just couldn't do that. So we split it up. We made the jury's life a little bit more difficult, and we're going to be giving prizes, and we actually have a modest cash award, $250 to each of these, to each of the main categories: narrative feature, narrative short, doc feature, and documentary short. So let's look at our jury members first. That was Diane Carson, an old colleague of mine from the Riverfront Times, many other credits. Jody Mattori, who was a successor of mine at the as A&E editor at the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Terrific director, Jack Snyder, who is now back in St. Louis after some time in LA. Andrew Wyatt, who is the editor of our film blog. And then Sam Zwiebelman, who is a St. Louisan, and he's the co-creator, co-writer, and director of Hulu's Pen 15. And if you have not watched this show, it's worth signing up for Hulu just to experience it. It is an absolutely terrific, terrific program. Sam is going to be the person who's presenting our 4 awards. And in 3 of the instances, we'll be hearing from the filmmakers. So Sam, we welcome you now to present the 4 awards.
Thank you, Cliff. Hi, I've been around the St. Louis International Film Festival for about 20 years now. First as an audience member, then as a filmmaker many times over, and now as a juror. So thank you to Cinema St. Louis for having me in your community through all these years, and especially this crazy year. And also I wanted to shout out to the filmmakers in this category. There wasn't a single film that didn't inspire me in some way. I wanted to say too that to the winners tonight, congratulations. You beat out some outstanding competition. And for those who don't win an award here, well, I never won one either. And yet on I go, making stuff and building a career in spite of it. So I hope I see a lot more work from all of you for years to come. So, okay, so I'm honored to present these awards on behalf of all my fellow co-jurors. The first category, Best Narrative Short, holds a special place in my heart because that's where I started. All right, here we go. The winner of the Best Narrative Short is Augustus, directed by John Alston. And I think we're going to be hearing from John Alston.
I'm John Alston, and I'm the director of this year's SE award-winning film, Augustus. And on behalf of our entire team, I'd like to thank Cinema St. Louis, the jury that chose us, Cliff Freilich and Chris Clark over at Cinema St. Louis as well. I can't tell you guys enough about how appreciative I am of this award and how appreciative I am of your support over the years since I premiered my first film with you guys 6 years ago. Really humbled and grateful for all the things that you do, and I hope to see you guys soon in my next film. Okay, thanks guys. We really stay blessed, and we appreciate you.
All right, Best Documentary Short. This category was particularly impressive to me personally. There's just so much good work being done in this category. So thank you for all the documentary filmmakers, sincerely. The winner of the Best Documentary Short is I Want to Make a Film About Women, directed by Karen Perlman. Now a word from Karen Perlman.
Well, hello, St. Louis. I am absolutely thrilled and delighted to be able to beam in and thank you for this lovely award in the inaugural SE Awards. I have not been to St. Louis for many years. I was born there. I went to high school there, and I absolutely 100% would be there for this if it were not for the pandemic. I really want to thank the glorious cast and crew of I Want to Make a Film About Women. I'd like to thank the judges of this really wonderful award. And I'd like to just give a shout out to all of my friends and family in St. Louis, both still in St. Louis or as far flung as I am. And thank you for the wonderful memories that I have of growing up there and the great inspiration that I carry with me now in my creative life. Thank you.
All right. Best narrative feature. I just want to say anyone who can complete a feature film, especially an indie feature, can do anything in the world. So congrats to anyone who did that and everyone in this category. It's that hard, trust me. Now, the winner of the best narrative feature is Test Pattern, directed by Shatara Michelle Ford. Shatara Michelle Ford was unable to provide a recording because, just as SLIFF contacted her with the news, she was leaving for what she described as a cabin in the middle of Northeast Pennsylvania with no Wi-Fi and really terrible phone service. But before she left Civilization's Reach, however, she managed to email us a brief statement, which I will read. Shatara says, "What wonderful news. Thank you so much. Please know that I am grateful and very much appreciate the recognition. It means a lot. Thanks again and take care." All right, and to the last SE award, the best documentary feature, another category with an embarrassment of riches as far as quality films. I do encourage everyone to seek out all of these films. But alas, there can be only one winner. And the winner of the best documentary feature is Zappa, directed by Alex Winter. And now, Alex Winter.
Hi, I'm Alex Winter, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for this honor from the St. Louis Film Festival for our documentary, Zappa. We've been working on this movie for over 5 years, and it was a huge labor of love for me and the editor, Mike Nichols, and a big team that got through an enormous amount of archival media to tell Zappa's story at long last. So we are greatly appreciative that people are responding to the film, and my only regret is that I could not be in St. Louis, my own hometown, to accept this award, but I want to extend my thanks and look forward to showing this film again on a big screen, hopefully at the Tivoli at some point in the future.
All right. Thank you to Sam for his work on behalf of the jury. We gave them a lot of films to watch, and they did a terrific job. Our next category is our New Filmmakers Forum Award, our Emerging Director Award, the Bobby, and that is sponsored by Barry and Jackie Albrecht and Pat Scallett. I want to now introduce Andrea Sporsic, who for several years now has been helping sort of wrangle NFF when it's in person by interviewing the directors. She did that virtually this year on our behalf. And she can give a little background on NFF and, of course, Bobby Lautenschlager. And then she'll introduce the jury and also the presenter. I do want to note that this does carry a $500 cash award. Andrea, can you join us?
Yes. Hello, all of you, from my home to your home. This has been a wacky year, I know. It's the most sleep I've ever gotten on New Filmmakers Forum ever. So it's a joke for those of you who have participated. So usually we call New Filmmakers Forum Film Camp because we bring 5 first-time directors together with an industry jury, and we stick them together and make them watch all 5 films and spend all of this time together. And some really cool conversations come out of it. and relationships over the years. Collaborators have come out of this. It's been a really cool process. And I must say, even this year, it remained a cool process, even via Zoom, connecting. If you were able to watch our panel discussion, which is usually at the very end of the weekend, is when they share all of the nuts and bolts of how their films were made and the lessons that they've learned. All films are hard. Every single film is hard, but this particular program celebrates that first film. So is there a slide with the list of films, I think? Okay. Oh, jury members. We have a fabulous, wonderful group of jury that helped make the decisions, and Chris chooses the films, the first time films. And I believe this year they were all submissions as well, Chris, if I remember that correctly. The 5 films: Easy Bake, Killing Eleanor, The Last Rafter, A Shot Through the Wall, and Small Time. And the jury head, David Edelstein, is with us to talk about the films and give us a winner. David?
The best. Hey, look, another middle-aged guy with a white beard. Okay. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, good. I'm so not pleased to be not with you, but I'm very pleased to have seen these 5 films and to have had such a fun virtual discussion with my fellow jurors. What I will be saying reflects their convictions as well as my own. But I have to start with a confession, because this is all virtual. I somehow forgot the part where Cliff and Chris said this was an award for a first feature. I actually thought it was a regular narrative competition, so I wasn't grading on a first director curve. I just thought it was an unusually lively, adventurous batch of movies by filmmakers whose sensibilities are pretty much fully formed. They're not ready to launch. They're already airborne. So let me just cite one film with regional ties. Easy Bake was directed by and stars Webster University grad Zoe Kennison, who plays a 22-year-old whose doctor tells her because of a medical condition she has 1 year to conceive a child. So she wisecracks and fumbles and wisecracks her way through situations no one, let alone a 22-year-old, should have to. The loose freewheeling style reflects what was reportedly a loose freewheeling shoot over years with money raised via Indiegogo, which is an apt word to describe the go-go spirit of the film. But our favor fell most on Naive Conti's Small Time. Now, it's said that the physical and spiritual health of a society can be measured by how it treats its youngest and most vulnerable. And here that's Emma, the little girl played by Audrey Grace Marshall, whose grandpa dies and who goes to live with her desperately addicted single mom. The director's touch is light, even glancing, but every frame carries wonder and dread, with potential catastrophe around every bend. The threats are from without, from drug dealers and addicts and drunks who pass Emma beer, and gun enthusiasts who let her shoot, and the fervently religious who want to squeeze her overflowing spirit into a small package. And there are threats from within, moments you fear this powerless child will lose her sense of wonder, her capacity for empathy, her love of life. Small Time is layered with iconography, with eagles and flags and crucifixes, but it's totally open in spirit, with what you might call a charitable pullback from the brink that's worthy of our finest humanist directors. And Audrey Grace Marshall, what can I say about this little kid? She's fiercely intelligent, but in a way that's entirely age appropriate. What a performance and what a movie. The jury is thrilled to present the new Filmmakers Forum Award for Emerging Director, the Bobby, to Naive Conti for Small Time.
And we do have word from Naive.
Wow. Thank you so much to this jury for
giving Small Time this award. It means so much to us. We're a very, very small little production who scraped what we had together, and with a lot of passion from the whole team, managed to make this film. I guess like this means so much because the group of films that are in competition are so strong. It's just a really wonderful group of films and filmmakers, and I'm so glad to have been able to meet them and watch their work. And so thank you for this St. Louis Film Festival, the jury, Chris. It means everything to us, and I have to give a shout out to my amazing young lead, Audrey Grace Marshall, who carried this film on her shoulders at such a young age. She's a force of nature. She is a truly courageous girl and actress, and there are big things in store for her. I know it. As well as John Janone, our producer, who made this film happen really without everything he put into it, and allowed this would have never come to be. And just the very loyal crew that stuck with us through a long process of filming over 3 years, and kept it going. So thank you so much. It's so deeply appreciated.
All right, thank you to both David Edelstein, who's one of my absolute favorite film critics, and Andrea Sporsic, who I gave short shrift to. I should have introduced her more properly. She is the film commissioner of the Missouri Film Commission, and is our former operations supervisor here at Cinema St. Louis. So we very much appreciate her continuing to support us in many different ways. And last, I want to give a shout out to the person who inspired NFF, who created it, Bobby Lautenschlager. The award is nicknamed the Bobby on her behalf. We lost her several years ago, but she lives on in spirit in the St. Louis film community. She was a treasure. All right, and that's a nice seg because she was definitely an inspiring person. Our next and final jury award is our Spotlight on Inspiration Documentary Award, which is sponsored very generously by the Albrecht family. This, we've been doing this for 3 years now. This is the third competition. It's our biggest prize, a $5,000 prize to a feature documentary that focuses on people working to make the world a better place, and that inspires audience members and leaves them with a sense of hope for the future. And for God's sakes, we very much need that at this moment in time. I want to now introduce, well, first let's see who the jury members are so we can give them proper acknowledgement. The Albrecht Family Foundation head, Barry Albrecht, is part of the jury. We also had two of our The Lens film blog contributors, Kayla McCulloch and Joshua Ray. Our Doc Shorts programmer, Orlando Thompson, did still more duty on our behalf. And then finally, Wilmetta Tolliver Diallo, who's a board member of ours, and she's assistant dean at the College of Arts and Sciences. She also coordinates the African Film Festival at WashU. So we thank all of them. Barry now is here to actually make the presentation. And he doesn't get to hand over the $5,000 check. It's always fun to do that, but we will be sending it to him. So Barry, welcome to make the announcement.
Thank you, Cliff. I also want to thank the staff at Cinema St. Louis for putting on such a wonderful festival, and my fellow jury members for taking part in this competition. 2020 marks the third year of our family sponsorship of the Spotlight on Inspiration competition. We are proud to be a part of the St. Louis International Film Festival and thrilled to help draw attention to these wonderful films and their subjects. The subjects of these films are, of course, people doing extraordinary things for those around them. Just a few examples from this year's entries: a neighborhood improvement organization working to save a community one house at a time, an artist collective using performance and music to celebrate the Black identity, and a priest envisioning an entire village where once there was just a landfill. Our hope is that people will seek out these films and walk away with the inspiration to do similar things in their communities. This year, the winner of the Spotlight on Inspiration Documentary Award is The Road Up, directed by Greg Jacobs and John Siskel. The Road Up is a powerful film about a job training program in the city of Chicago. As we follow Mr. Jesse and his students, the film reveals the obstacles so many people face, how hard it can be to ask for help, and the power of finding someone who truly believes in you. It's a wonderful film. I hope everyone will seek it out. And now, live on tape, are the directors Greg Jacobs and John Siskel, and one of the film's subjects, Kristen Robinson.
Hi, I'm John Siskel. And I'm Greg Jacobs, and we are thrilled and honored to receive the Spotlight on Inspiration Documentary Competition Award. We want to start by thanking everyone at Cinema St. Louis and the St. Louis International Film Festival for their support going all the way back to Louder Than a Bomb a decade ago, and their continuing support with The Road Up. We want to thank the Albrecht family for sponsoring this award, and Joan Miller for sponsoring the film itself. And of course, we want to thank the jurors for embracing The Road Up, especially with so many other wonderful films in this category. It means the world to us that you've been as inspired by the people and the stories in the film as we have. So we want to turn it over now to one of those amazing people, Missouri native Kristen Robinson, to say a few words.
No, you go.
On behalf of the Road Up film, I'm honored to thank Cinema St. Louis for the Spotlight on Inspiration Documentary Award. I'm so grateful that Elisa, Clarence, Tamala, Jesse, and I were able to use this as a springboard to expand awareness about the urgent issues of child custody, economic justice reform, and
she came on board about the same time Chris did at the festival.
That is this country.
And
on behalf of all the documentary subjects, I want to thank John Siskel and Greg Jacobs for having the insight to see how worthwhile
she was on tonight, so I just sent her next
in order to break some of the stigmas that keep us all from relating, improving, and ascending the road up, which was one beautiful thing about 2020 to me. Thanks to the Southside Cara campus and everyone that has supported the film, including other organizations that supported our mind, spirit, and dignity, like Women Employed, Yarnify Chicago, LISC, Goldies, and many others.
Okay, thank you to Kristen, obviously, for issues. Oh, and here's John and Greg back again. We can't shut them up. We want to thank the filmmakers. We had hosted them a decade ago, as they mentioned, with Louder Than a Bomb, which won our Audience Choice Award. And so that's a great seg into our Audience Choice category. Thanks also to Barry. Much appreciated, and your family's support of the Spotlight on Inspiration Award. This year we had a really unique competition for the first time. My colleague in documentary programming, Brian Woodman, happens to have a partner, Zoe Dawn Peterson, who works in the field of sexuality as far as the scientific study thereof. And their organization, Society for the Scientific Study of Sexuality, happened to be having its conference, which was virtual, of course, at the exact same time as SLIFF. So they proposed, if we had films that we thought would be appropriate, to have a competition of films that dealt with those issues. And we actually managed to find 3 really excellent movies: Cured, The Dilemma of Desire, and Transhood. And Quad S, as the society is known, looked at all 3 of those films, and their members who watched them voted for the film that they thought was most worthy. And we are going to be able to give a $500 cash prize to that winner, thanks to the generosity of Zoe Dawn Peterson and Brian Woodman. They contributed that, so we thank them. The person who's going to be giving the award is also going to talk a little bit about the Quad S, and that's Dr. Mark Shane. He was part of the selection committee that actually chose those 3 films as well. Let's welcome Mark Shane.
Thank you, Cliff. You gave me a very difficult process. The difficult in that I had to select 3 films from, I believe it was 8 that I watched, and all of them were just terrific films, but I chose 3 that I felt covered sexual, social issues that complemented the Society for the Scientific Study of Sexuality. And Quad S is the oldest sexual professional organization in the United States. It was founded in 1958, and it's been dedicated to advancing knowledge of sexuality and communicating scientifically based sexuality research and scholarship to professionals, policymakers, and the general public. So I would like to thank the St. Louis International Film Festival for allowing us to have these socially important films viewed by our membership. So the 3 films, as you said, were 1, Cured, which has to do with the declassifying homosexuality and lesbian as mentally ill. And that was a long, painful process. The second, Transhood, which followed 4 transgender children over a 5-year period. An amazing story. And the third, The Dilemma of Desire, which countered the unheard of story that women have no sexual desire. And these 3 films are films that the Quad S organization has researched. The subject matter has been researched, and they're very important to society in general. So I'm proud that the St. Louis International Film Festival has included these films. The competition was very close, and the winner was Transhood. And we have Sharon Leith, the director, to talk a little bit about Transhood.
Thank you so much for this honor. The festival is wonderful. I really appreciate Q4 for the recognition. And it's really hard these days with virtual festivals to not be in person and to not allow my subjects to be there with you in person, but you guys have done a wonderful job of making this festival feel real. And I really appreciate that you are allowing such visibility for the families and the kids in Transhood, because it's really important that people get to know and meet people who are transgender. Can go a long way in this world of kind of combating transphobia and giving the support and the affirmation that these families sorely deserve. So thank you so much. It's really an honor to be part of your festival and then to be acknowledged in this way. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you to Mark and to Sharon. I should note that if you didn't get a chance to see Trans Hood when it played during SLIFF, it is now on HBO. It's actually up there right now. So if you are lucky enough to be a subscriber, I strongly encourage you to watch Trans Hood. Okay, we're almost there, guys. We're headed into the conclusion of our audience choice with our audience choice awards. This year, because of the virtual nature of the festival, we typically do not ballot for shorts because there's just so many of them, and it's impossible when there are 20 films on a program for people to make decisions on the fly, and we'd have to give them like a little book in order to vote on all of those films. But because we could do it virtually this year, we decided to go ahead and experiment a bit and actually see what happens if we gave people the opportunity to actually vote on the shorts as well. And we got decent response, not overwhelming, but decent. And so we are happy to be able to announce a couple of shorts awards as part of our audience choice. The first is our Best Documentary Short Award, and that is Always Coming Back, which was directed by Nate Townsend. Nate also had a terrific documentary feature in this year's festival, Wake Up. So we very much like the fact that there was a local filmmaker and a local subject, a much beloved person who was featured in the film as our winner. Next, for our Best Narrative Short, the audience chose The Mirror, which is directed by Joel Cohn. So we hope that you had an opportunity to see those films. I know a lot of people managed to see Always Coming Back. So thanks. Now we're going to move on to our more traditional Audience Choice Awards, which is our feature categories. We're going to be starting with our Leon Award for Best Documentary, and that is named in the memory of the late civic leader Leon Strauss. Mary Strauss is the person who annually supports our documentary programming, so we thank her. She is an invaluable asset to the organization, been with us almost since the festival's inception. I want to bring in my colleague in choosing our documentaries, and that's BJ Woodman, Brian Woodman. He's going to be doing the announcement of this particular award. BJ, are you there?
Yeah, can you see me?
We can.
All right, good. So yeah, I've been programming now with Cliff for 12 years. And every year we see countless fantastic docs, many of which we aren't even able to fit into the final program. And I can attest to some of the most powerful and entertaining films at SLIFF over the year have actually been documentaries. I'm glad that they've gotten more and more popular over the years. And this year the competition was among 48 wonderful featured documentaries. And the competition was very fierce. But what rose to the top is a feisty, crowd-pleasing story about a beloved indoor soccer league team, the Wichita Wings, who fought against the big city heavies from coast to coast, and even against their nasty Midwestern antagonists, the St. Louis Steamers. This year's winner of the Leon Audience Award for Best Documentary is God Save the Wings, directed by Adam Knapp and Kenneth Lynn. And I believe we actually have producer Tim O'Brien here present, so we can actually do a live speech.
Thank you so much. I really thank you to the St. Louis International Film Festival, in particular Brian and Cliff and Andrew Wyatt for writing a wonderful review of our film. And I want to thank the directors of our film, Adam Knapp and Kenny Lynn, who had a real vision for a film that could talk about something that our city, Wichita, can almost never do, which is be on the same standard as New York and LA and Chicago, and actually win. And so we wanted to tell a story that was that could, in a way, also that highlighted the excitement of the 1980s with our tongue firmly in cheek at times. Want to thank our executive, other producers of the film, Tori Deathridge and Mike Romales for bringing their skills to our film. are a number of executive producers, in particular Jeff Boone, who allowed us to brought some money to the table. It allowed us to have some wonderful animation in our film by a gentleman named Adam Williamson of We Know Motion. Also wanted to thank Roy Turner, who was the coach of the team and really allowed us to sort of get into his life and connected us to so many of the players and coaches and GMs, owners, and media members over the years that we were able to interview. We were able to travel to Denmark and England through the generosity of so many of the fans of the team who helped fund our film, and interview some of these great players in their home countries. And in particular, we really wanted to thank the people of St. Louis, because this was the first festival that we applied to, and we were so excited to get in. It was such an important festival for our film, because so much of our film revolves around the Steamers and the St. Louis-Wichita rivalry. And Steve Petcher of the Steamers, who was a wonderful player for them, who was a willing villain in our film, but was wonderful to us and allowed us access to the Steamers, and made this film special. And the people of St. Louis really supported us, and even though they hated us so much back in the 1980s, but we really appreciate them. We appreciate the Roncata Trio for doing our score, and we learned that from this film that you can have something special without winning at all. And that's really what our film is about. So thank you so much for everything you've done for us here in St. Louis.
Thank you, Tim. Much appreciated. All right, we're very close now to the end. And so I'm going to exit the stage and turn things over to bring us home to my colleague, Chris Clark. Chris, are you still there?
Yep, hanging out in my purple room in Zoom Studio West here in my back bedroom. Sir, it's been a year, and here we are. The films we're going to discuss now, the final two winners, are the audience choice. This has been a very, very important year for the will of the people, and we never know where it's going to be. There are things that Cliff and I think are the best and champion them, but we just never know. I am delighted and thrilled to announce the TV Cinq Monde Award for Best International Film. I've talked to a whole bunch of different people this fall, and the one film that's been on every single, hey, what should I watch during the festival list, on every single list I've given to everybody that's ever asked me, is the South Korean film Beast Clawing at Straws, directed by Kim Yong-hoon. It is, like Jim Batt said earlier, it won the Joe Award. It is a terrific puzzle that at first glance, it seems to be yet another film with Asian gangster violence and bloodshed. But as the pieces all start to click together, and the final scene that just sums it all up so succinctly, you've been played the whole time as an audience member, just like the many people in the film. It was a wonderful treat and such a delight to discover that film this summer. And I knew that it was something I really wanted to present to audiences in the festival. On the other end of the spectrum, and the final award we will announce tonight is the best film, and it's a quiet film that was sort of in a corner of the festival and was maybe overlooked by most. And what was great about this film was the writing and the performances of the two lead women, and that film was directed by a woman also. Ruthie Prybar's film, Asia, is the 2020 SLIFF Audience Choice Film Award winner. It's an Israeli film about two Russian immigrants, a mother and daughter, who are just trying to get by in life. And it's just their relationship that is so emotionally honest, and the beauty of their relationship and things that happen. I don't want to give away a plot point in case hopefully you'll see this wonderful film, but something happens that changes their dynamic forever, and they have to reassess themselves. And just a beautiful storytelling. The young actress Shira Haas, who plays the daughter, was lauded recently for her work as the role of Esther Shapiro in the Netflix series Unorthodox. So if you watch that show, you'll know who this young woman is. She is going to be a superstar of international cinema, and I'm sure we'll see her more going forward. Typically, we will be on a stage or in front of a room full of people drinking donated beers or wines or something, and be totally exhausted after a lengthy event where we're in front of people and have guests and parties and endless stuff. And this year, it's been different. We've been stuck at home, but I've made the best of it, and I've enjoyed talking to so many people all over the world on Zoom calls like this. And we have our weekly staff meetings, and some things don't change. We argue and go back and forth, the four of us, and I don't know how we do what we do, but we enjoy it. We're four passionate people. Bree, who's been running the show tonight, don't you worry about a few missed buttons or so. What we've done this year has been stunning and startling. We had to reinvent the way we do our business, the way we conduct as a presenting organization, and we made it work. And a few missed audio cues. Usually there's a truck with people with big levers doing that sort of thing. I think we're doing great, and I'm happy to be at this point. Bree, thank you for being part of it. Brian Spaff, my other coworker, who manages more bits of data and details. I don't know how you do what you do, managing all the stuff and paperwork and volunteers and all kinds of things. And then my boss, Cliff Fralick, who tolerates my many volatile moods and outbursts of my own passionate opinions on things, but we do respect each other greatly, and we make this event work and happen. And we're glad to be able to present these stories. At the end of the day, we look for films that are good stories and films that we want to share with you, our audience members. And it's pleased me so much after working on this event literally all year long, even with a big punch in the gut in the middle of the year, trying to figure out how to do it. And we got to this point, but we've still been able to share hundreds and hundreds of wonderful stories by wonderful storytellers. So we're able to preserve that part of our way of life. And we're happy to now to take our long winter rest and work on things for early into next year. Traditionally, I would take my lanyard off of my neck with my little badge that we have each year as staff members, but I don't have such a thing. But what I'll do is I'll take one of my earbuds out to show that the show is almost over. Thank you again. This will conclude the 2020 29th Annual Whitaker St. Louis International Film Festival. Thank you to all of our audience members and our board that supports us so greatly. We love film, we love cinema, and we love you. Thank you, St. Louis. Have a good night.